welcome to Archival Adventures. Oh wow, I go live and the first thing I see is what I look like because I've been dashing around and I just got the mic attached. And the sweater looks weird right now. It's fine. Music is a touch loud. Got it. I will bump that down. Me and my awkward start every time. Let's see what 20% volume does. Is that better? Let me know. I'm still trying to figure out these new headphones and how I'm going to, whatever. Oh, it doesn't. And just like I tried the face command to give warning that I was coming, but that uses a system that I have at home that I don't have here. Anyway, welcome everybody on both channels to Archival Adventures. I'm just filling up my water bottle. You can just see what I'm drinking. It did not lower the volume at all. Well, that's lovely. Is that better? We can hope. As always, there are some technical things to get out of the way at the beginning because setting up for this show is different every single time. There was a D&D stream on the library's channel end of the week last week, I think. I'm not sure exactly when. And so they were in the space and they had to like fully reconfigure it. And I get in here about an hour before it's time to go live, and I have that hour to set the room, as well as send out like the tweet and other things like that to like let people know that, hey, yeah, I'm actually going to be doing the show. And so sometimes it's a little bit of a mad dash, and I can't really test the audio levels to make sure they're good for you until I actually go live. I know what I had them set at before, but whatever. Each day we must answer a series of riddles before the tech gods grant us the power to stream, or the stream power, as Portico said it. Oh, that's much better. I put on the sweater at the last minute and it was all bunchy. Anyway, now that the traditional early stream silliness is waning, let me say hello to the people who are here and like let anybody new know what the heck is this thing and why you might want to stick around. The typical things that should happen at the start of a stream. I don't know. Hello, Lord Portico. It is good to have you here. Key Squared, thank you so much for the 20-month resubscription. That is amazing. Hannah, it is good to have you joining. Fluidan, welcome. So that's everybody that said hello in chat so far, other than SiriBot, the good bot, that helps keep away the not nice people. So, welcome everybody to Archival Adventures. This is a show that I do every Wednesday, starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it streams out to 2 channels. It goes out to twitch.tv/VTUL Studios, which is short for Virginia Tech University Libraries Studios. So twitch.tv/VTUL Studios, as well as my own personal channel, twitch.tv/Rogan27. Yeah, so it goes out to 2. So if you hear me talking to people that are if you hear me responding to chat, but you don't see that message in the chat that you're in, it's probably in the other channel. Or maybe I'm just making it up. You'll never know, unless you're watching on both channels, in which case you probably will. Okay. So that is the intros. Hi, Detective Zen. We all know Rogan 27 isn't real. Well, I am clearly a VTuber, and this is just my virtual persona. I don't know why anybody would choose this as their virtual persona, but heck, somebody might. I don't know. It might be a smaller crowd today. Usually we start off low, and then quite often Eric Campbell ends up raiding in and bringing over a bunch of people, which I very, very much appreciate. And sometimes some of those people even hang out and listen to part of the stream. Today, however, Eric is not streaming, so it might just be us for the whole stream, and that would be totally fine. Water. Okay. I tried, oh, it's still in emote only. Let me fix that. That is my fault. I had not actually noticed that it was in emote only, because that is unusual for that channel. Thank you, Hannah, for bringing that to my attention. It should be fixed now. Okay. I'm trying something a little different with the lighting today, and I brought in some gels for a couple of lights, and we'll see. I'm getting some weird shadows, but that's also my own fault for wearing a hat. How about if nobody wants to chat about too much, we could get started. I hope you're all having a good Wednesday. It's a slow week here. It is spring break on campus, and so it's very quiet. I'm off-center. The camera is slightly off-center of where it normally is, so I have to, if I line up with the table, I'm off-center in the shot. Before I forget, I should probably throw this up here. Coming up on the 16th of March, which day of the week is one of them? Thursday, March 16th, starting at 5:15 p.m. Special Collections and University Archives here at Virginia Tech will have an open house. If you're unfamiliar with where we are located, we are on the first floor of the Newman Library. The entrance is in the cafe area on the first floor. Just look for the interior glass wall and look all the way to the side of the building next to where the Squires building is, and you'll see some double doors, and that's the entrance to the reading room. Super well marked. It's not actually true. There's a sign on the window. But there will be an open house. Women's Stories in the Archives, celebrating Women's History Month. This is after our normal research hours, so if you happen to be in the Blacksburg area and you want to stop in, you can pop by at 5:15 p.m. And take a look at some of the collections that we have relating to women's history, and check out the reading room if you have not done so before. Unfortunately, oh no, you're going to be busy being on a different continent, so you don't think you'll be able to make it? Totally understandable, Zach. The next one coming up after this, the next time that we have an open house outside of our normal hours, is April 1st. And no, this is not a prank. April 1st, is the 75th anniversary of WUVT, which is the university's radio station. And we have a bunch of materials. We're going to have an exhibit about them. And so for a couple of hours on that Saturday, the reading room will be open while people are coming to a reunion event on campus. And I'm trying to work out the technical logistics. Stay tuned, because here on both of these channels, if I can get it to work, will be a mobile stream, so much less quality, because it's probably going to be like an iPad camera or something. But if you want to hang out with me while I'm running an open house on a Saturday, watch for it on April 1st. I'll update on that as we get closer. I don't know yet whether it's going to fully happen. The music is still loud. I'm running it differently right now, like out of the browser instead of the app. So that might be part of it. I have bumped it down another notch. So do let me know if that makes any difference for you. I can go slightly lower, or I can also get up and manipulate the soundboard. Did what I just did make any change, like demonstrable change at all? Because it's really, really quiet in my ears. Use the soundboard. That's not surprising. I shall do that. One moment while I get up and we'll get there. We'll get there. It's interesting to try and figure this out. Now I'm peeking. Okay. I think that's might be sort of the best that I can do my voice wise, and I can try and manipulate the audio for the music. I'm wearing a shirt under my jacket. Yeah, so I boosted the mic as much as I possibly can from the soundboard. I can try and see what I can do. Sorry, I'm trying not to bump the mic while I'm putting this back on, but also that is difficult. This is the normal confusion. Okay, let me see about adjusting this volume here. I can't do anything to the music there. It is frustratingly difficult to try and figure out exactly what I need to press to lower it. I will, we were at 12%, 2% volume. Oh, the voice to music was good a moment ago? I'll bump it back up a little bit and we'll just have, come on. Come on. I wish I had precise controls. And then the song stopped, which might be good. Okay. Thank you for troubleshooting the sound. I wish it didn't take quite so long. Let us quickly move forward. If you need me to adjust the volume again, do let me know, because I can make that adjustment if necessary. Like right now, it's too loud in my ears, but that's because I bumped it up really high in my ears. I do want to get moving though. So, let's get into it. As always, we'll start with this. We'll do the short version because I have spent a lot of time on tech this morning. Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in California and other areas in the West. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. Enslaved black people generated resources that financed Virginia Tech's predecessor institution, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on the construction of its building. And let's pop on over to Archival Resources of the Virginias, or Archival Resources of the Virginias, however you want to say it. This is the finding aid for the collection that we're going to look at today. Oh, just a little scratch. Which I should read the title. We're looking at the George Grigg and John Carnochan papers circa 1960s to 2015. I do not know how to say John's last name. I don't know if it's Carnochan or Carnochan or I'm not certain. I'm gonna probably go with Carnochan because that's how my brain wants to process it. But I will just preface by saying I am uncertain about the correct pronunciation of his name. And so the abstract here, well, so we can see 3.52 cubic feet, 4 boxes. Materials are in English, includes documents related to the production and dissemination of George Grigg's and John Carnochan's computer animated film produced while students at Virginia Tech from 1969 to 1970 using FORTRAN. Crunch-an? I don't think that's right, Detective Zen. But thank you for the suggestion. I'm pretty sure Carno is the beginning. It's the Shan part, or the Chan part at the end that I'm uncertain how that CH is meant to be pronounced. And, you know, a lot of times names are not pronounced how language would say they're supposed to be. So let's see. These were donated to Special Collections and University Archives in 2016, and the preliminary processing, arrangement, and description of the collection was completed in February 2017. That's as preliminary. I do not know when it was finished. Presumably relatively recently, just given how new the boxes look, but I don't know. So, the biographical note is interesting on this collection, and so I'm actually going to read through it. From 1969 to 1971, George Grigg and John Carnochan made animated films using computer-drawn images while students at Virginia Tech's College of Architecture and Urban Studies in the Inner College. The Intercollege was a program for invited upper-level architecture students in which the students got to choose their own area of interest for study under Professor Olivio Ferrari. In 1969, Carnochan began sketching ideas for using a polygon on many scales for multiple potential uses, such as for housing. The polygon developed as an elaboration of the space surrounding a cube, which in turn enlarged into a solid polyhedron with 26 faces. The conceptual polyhedron design was referred to by the Intercollege students as the element. Carnochan started with a cardboard model held together with tape that over time he manipulated to change its size and shape as well as dimensions. Additional models of different materials, including balsa wood and plexiglass, were made and photographed. Grigg came up with the idea of creating a computer drawing enabling a view inside the space. Before transferring to VPI in 1967, Grigg majored in physics at a university in Ohio, where he learned FORTRAN programming. While at VPI, Grigg also took a computer graphics class and independent study with adjunct professor Walter Meschner. And if you're unfamiliar, VPI is Virginia Polytechnic Institute, which is Virginia Tech. Using Virginia Tech's IBM 360 computer, the largest in Virginia at the time, Grigg programmed in FORTRAN using punch cards. Grigg and Carnochan filmed the drawings on a 16mm camera, shooting one frame at a time and moving the drawings 1 degree of rotation per frame. At 24 frames per second, the first film required approximately 1,440 individual drawings. Actual filming required shooting one computer drawing at a time. They filmed at night in the basement of the high school building, and a small lab in Northern Virginia developed and edited the film. In the first movie, the module rolled forward, rotating on all 3 axes, beginning far away and ending in the foreground, exactly in the middle of the screen. After viewing the first film, Professor Ferrari asked Grigg to teach students to program and draw as part of their design class. In order to program, the college received its own punch card machine. George and John continued making computer movies. Later movies became more complex. The film Finite State Machines was the longest and most challenging. As part of exploring and researching the geometry, a whole family of more complex forms was computer animated, demonstrating not only the deformation but the geometrical packing. The computer animation was making possible views that were simply not possible to achieve any other way. John had modified the original cardboard model by making the square faces open instead of solid. That led to the discovery that if the square faces were not solid, the model could collapse onto itself. The edges of the rectangles could be made to touch each other to form 4 prism legs extending from a solid tetrahedron in the center. If the proportions of the sides were 1 to 1.41 to 1, the triangles of the diagonally opposite corners would come together, forming a collapsed crown that could form a joint between 2 other non-collapsed modules. In January 1969, George joined the Society of Amateur Cinematographers, and he and John entered the movie in a computer film competition in Los Angeles. This was the first showing of the film outside VPI. The film did not win a prize. But Grigg and Carnochan also learned about the Association of Computing Machinery and entered their 2nd annual computer and music exhibition in August 1969. This exhibition has now become ACM SIGGRAPH, the largest computer graphics exposition and conference held annually in California. The movie was shown at the 1970 annual convention of the Virginia Society of Architects. It was also shown to several mathematics clubs at various Virginia state colleges and one in Kentucky. The same year, the Intercollege also built a large-scale module out of aluminum angles to serve as the notice board for Tech Festival, an annual showcase for interested businesses and students to get acquainted with each other. After graduating from Virginia Tech, Grigg taught in the Foundation Division of the College of Architecture for 1 year and then went into the practice of architecture with occasional detours into teaching. The majority of his architectural projects focused on healthcare facilities. He retired in 2010. Carnochan pursued a film career, editing a number of documentaries, live-action features, and TV shows. He returned to animation during the Renaissance at Disney, where he edited The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Subsequently, he edited the computer-animated films Ice Age and Robots. He lives in Los Angeles and continues to work in the US and internationally, primarily in animation. There's more to that history in the boxes, but I think that is sufficient, unless we get curious about something and decide we want to look there to see if there's more. Collection includes documents related to the production and dissemination of the film. We also have a DVD that has 2 of the films on it, which I am ready to play on stream. Internationally, that's where you live. Zen, I know, really? Like, there's the US and then there's internationally, right? Anyway, the container list is here. If there's something in particular listed that you're curious about and want to look at, let me know. I will note some of the materials are original. Some of the stuff is much more modern. Like, there's a spot where one of them is labeled printouts about computer punch cards, which are from 2013, and they are computer printouts about computer punch cards. So possibly not as interesting as actual computer punch cards. Unless your geography teacher lied to you. See, I think internationally exists not just for outside the US, but if you're outside the US, then the US becomes internationally. At least that is how I understand it. So, how about whoops. I just knocked over a light. Hang on, I'm gonna set it back upright again. It's spring break. I'm also always like this. This is not just because it's spring break. I am always like this. If you want some chaos while we look at archival materials, this is the place. So what I have here is a box that we're zoomed in really close on. So you're just seeing the box. But there's a reason I have it here, because I wanted to take the top off so that you can get a glimpse inside before I pull out what is inside. This is literally all that is in this box. This is box 4. I need to remember that light is there and stop hitting it. It's a new setup every week. I did also bring a gray backing to sort of set things on if I needed to, but I don't think I need to. I think it's visible just fine without it. Also, that was too small. This is one of the forms that, this is a cardboard model. I think it's pasteboard, actually. Let me see what the description in the finding aid says for the item in box 4, if I can find. Oh, interesting. Boxes 3 and 4 are reversed, apparently. or at least the item that is meant to be in box 3 was in box 4. This is one model of the void formed when stacking 8 elements. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And we're going to look at box 3, which has the contents that should be in box 4, which are 8 mat board models of the element. I'm actually going to take them all out because I'm going to put them back in the box that they're supposed to be in according to the finding aid. So this is the element that they ended up modeling with their computer program. It is manipulable. This is the polygon that they were working with, and moving it in different ways results in different external and internal geometries. And so this, what was in the other box, is one model of the void formed when stacking 8 elements. I am uncertain what it means by stacking, because I have not had a chance to work through the geometry. Also, I'm not good at geometry. So I don't exactly know how you get that shape by stacking 8 elements. That said, I'm not saying I don't believe that that is what results. I just don't know how. But we have a film that will hopefully illustrate for us. I'm trying to figure out exactly how these are supposed to stack, because they're supposed to be identical, and this one doesn't seem quite the same. I don't know. Anyway, these were the first things that I saw when I pulled out this collection to decide on if it was something that I wanted to share on stream. I pulled down a box, and this was the first thing that caught my attention. This weird pasteboard shape. And that was all that was in the box. And I was like, okay, now I'm intrigued. Now I want to know more. They have just recruited me for Starship Troopers. My answer to would you like to know more is yes. So, how about we learn more? Would you all like to see the animation? The actual computer animated film that was done using FORTRAN in 1969, programmed in FORTRAN using punch cards. Yeah, I kind of figured. Hi, Key Squared. I don't remember if I said hi to you earlier. It would help if I go to the right place to actually get the DVD. This was something that I had hoped to have in place and ready to go before the stream. I just didn't have time. So, computer animation produced at Virginia Tech College of Architecture. So this one is dated 1971, And you can see restored 2014. I accidentally rolled over the headphone cord and unplugged myself from the sound. It is a beat up DVD case with a home burned DVD inside. I just need to get I had to find an optical drive. And I have not yet had a chance to digitize this film so that we're not reliant on a physical DVD, which the stated lifetime of them, like by the manufacturer, is 10 years. The actual lifetime of them can be shorter before they start to become corrupted. And this one has a couple scratches on it, so I would like to get it digitized. Well, yes. So and a lot of times if it's on a disc, you can just stick it in the computer and make a disk image or copy it. I just haven't had a chance. So I'll probably just make a disk image that when you mount the disk image, it'll load as though you inserted a physical CD or a physical disc. Anyway, this is when you insert the DVD into a DVD player, this is what comes up. So this is the restoration. This is not like the original animation, but it is a restoration of their original animations. So you can see the title, Virginia Tech Computer Animation 2014 Restoration. This is a restoration of the films that were produced in 1971. So let's hope that the spinning beach ball doesn't stay forever. They do not have sound. It's actually really amazing, considering that this was all done with punch cards. And they had to capture one frame at a time. They'd render, capture, rotate very, very slightly, capture, rotate very slightly, capture. It was another 10 years before video games like Acalibeth started coming out, which still had wireframe graphics like this. This is actually, so this is a film created by having the computer render it, and then, if I understood the description correctly, capturing it. So it's not, as far as I understand, it's not the computer like fully animating. I'm gonna have to dig into the info because I'm curious. But yeah, like you've got wireframe graphics like this in late 70s, early 80s video games. Which is why I think that this is more like stop motion video, where the computer rendered the graphics and then they took a photo, or then like, yeah. So essentially the computer rendered, they took a photo, render, photo, render, photo, if I understood the description on the finding aid. But we have all the documentation, so we should be able to figure it out. Regardless, it is still really cool to have been able to create something like this in 1969. And in the description it said it enabled them to actually explore shapes that were previously not possible to explore, because the computer manipulation of the object allowed interaction with it in a different way. So that is one. The other one, their longest and most complex, was Finite State Machine, according to the finding aid, and that is also on this DVD. And here you can actually see the image here is the metal one. So this was based on a manipulation of the element. This is one of the shapes that's possible by manipulating the element. And they made a sculpture out of it, out of metal, and used it for like signage for an event, which is really kind of cool. You heard many Bothans died to get this to the Rebel Alliance. It does have that look to it, doesn't it? Finite State Machine, 1972, 16mm black and white silent. That's as far as I made it in reading the description there, but we can watch. So yeah, 16mm. The graphic was rendered with the computer, and then the filming was done separate. It's really smooth for stop motion, which ultimately you get really smooth stop motion by minuscule movements, lots of them. But there you can see like the different, that's 3 elements, 1 collapsed and 2 fully formed, and how they sort of seat into one another. And so then the one expands. This is my commentary, given that this is the first time I'm seeing it, and I'm like, oh, I just realized that's what they're showing there. Because I popped it in and clicked play long enough to see that they would play, but I have not watched them before. And these are really cool. For anybody interested in anything having to do with computer animation, which video games, modern special effects in movies and television, simple user interfaces that you encounter on your phone or on the internet anywhere. Like, this is the start of all of that computer animation. And this was 2 architecture students here at Tech. It's really neat. Surprisingly, the randomly selected song that happens to be playing in the background goes really well with this animation. Good job, Pretzel Rocks. So this is all, once again, this is all manipulating a form that they had like a, you've got like physical models of, which you can't see because you're on the other view. But physical models. So this is the interior, but we definitely saw this shape in the animated film, and then it was all of that was manipulation of the element, which is this. This is the element. It is this polyhedron that once they empty it out and take off and make hollow a couple of sides, suddenly it becomes this form that can be manipulated into many different shapes and that interlocks with itself. Just really, really neat piece of geometry. And yeah, the computer animation was basically just variation and theme with a geometrical form, which just really, really cool. Maybe I'm too much of a geek, but I think it's really cool. Since I have box 2 open, because I had to get the DVD out, I'm going to continue with box 2 briefly, and then there are papers in box 1, but box 2 has some pretty neat things in it. So let's see, we've got some black and white photos of models. Got, let's see, some reel-to-reel film. I'm just unpacking this box because none of it's actually in order in this box. There's not like a set order, so I can just pull stuff out and show you the contents of this box. So I'll probably have to edit that little bit out there. But yeah, what did you expect to be in a collection about film? Soap scum. We've got some film. This one I am not going to open because I have not successfully opened it yet, and I'm not going to at the moment. I don't have anything to play reel-to-reel on camera. Like, I don't have a reel-to-reel player that I brought with me and hooked up to Twitch. I'm not opposed to doing that, except that I would have to borrow it because our archives doesn't have one. Maybe some kind of plastic wrap. Could be. But I will just, pull this out of the Ziploc bag that it is in. I'm not certain if that is the best container, especially since it's not airtight. But computer short is what it says here. We've got the film. I'm not going to unwind this at the moment, but I figured since we're in this box, I could show you these. And then I've got like some neat storyboards that are in this box too. But we have these. Thankfully, these are stable. These are not old enough to be like deteriorating and a fire risk. Many of the old film studios lost old film because it all burned, because it was volatile and caught fire if not kept at refrigeration temperatures. We don't have any of that here. Generally, like, I know if we were to get a collection that contained something like that, we would have to do some sort of agreement with the Smithsonian to store that film there because they have the facilities and we don't. So I have the container for Finite State Machines released print, but there's nothing inside. So I don't know where that release print is. But we have the metal container that apparently it was in. Roll CG01, computer long finite state machines. So this is one of the prints of Finite State Machines, which was the second film that we watched. And this one has Grigg's name on it, but I don't know. It says roll CG02, which I'm not certain what that is. Reels of 16mm film, A and B roll, printed film, restored film with notes by John Carnochan. Notes? I did not see any notes. The finding aid says there are notes. DVD of film. Assorted black and white photos. Original computer drawing. Well, I don't see the notes. We'll find out. We're gonna keep exploring. I have seen some of this because I went into this box looking for photos to do the promotional image and like the starting screen, but I haven't looked at everything. Oh, Portico, thank you for the hydrate. I will indeed. I personally think that this is a really, really interesting collection. I don't know a lot about computer animation. I don't know how interesting it is for people to, like, from a research perspective, I don't know that people need necessarily to reference it for research purposes, other than to know that it existed and know that people were doing this in 1969. And how they were doing it. Like, I think from a historical perspective, it's really interesting. From a learning how to do computer animation, I think less useful. Because the tools that we would use today basically teach you this sort of object manipulation as part of their overall tutorial for, here's how you use this tool. That said, they didn't have a tutorial. They came up with this on their own. Let's see. This one, the envelope says wireframes. And since these are, I think I can zoom in a bit and get a closer look at them. They've got post-its on the back. Single wireframe element, 2 wireframe elements. I'm gonna make sure they're in order. 4, 3, and 4. Yeah. That way I know what we're looking at as we look at them. So this is a single wireframe element. And next we have 2 wireframe elements. 2. And 2 moves to 4 wireframe elements. And from there we go to 3. and then from 3 back to 4. And so those are snapshots of a transformation that I believe we saw in the film. I'm not 100% on that, but I think we saw that specific transformation of 1 to 2 to 3, or 1 to 2 to 4 to 3 to 4 in the film. We have other wireframes. So these are the picture, like these are snapshots of the objects as rendered by the computer. Wireframe void. This is the void formed by multiple of the elements being put together. Somewhere in here, in between multiple elements, you get this shape. I don't know why I find this as fascinating as I do. Maybe it's because I'm bad at geometry and can't picture things in my head. But I think it's really cool. Collapsing wireframe elements. Also, just the way they shot it. Like, it's really simple. It's all black on white or white on black. But they've managed to, like, this collapsing wireframe elements, it's recursive, it's very, like, it's a lovely pattern. I could see that being turned into a wallpaper in the 80s. I'm not saying that it would be wallpaper that anybody today should have, but I could definitely have imagined that being on somebody's wall in the 1980s. Maybe not in black and white, but also possibly in black and white. More likely in like brown and olive green or something. But during the late 70s, early 80s, all of this was done by numbers. I know. Instead of, like today, if you go out and get, if you go out and grab open source animation software like Blender, it's going to drop you in and it's got pre-made objects that you can just throw in. You can do 3D sculpting in it, but if you just want to manipulate a form, they've got a menu of forms you can manipulate. You can just drop a cube and you put a marker and say, okay, this is where it is now. And then jump forward 10 seconds and drop another, take your cube, move it, x-axis, y-axis, rotation, all that jazz, to where you want it to be at some point in the future. And then say, you've taken the cube, you've rotated it, and this is where it should be at 10 seconds. You go to 10 seconds in your little time tracker, put another marker, and the computer does the animation for you. Like, it will take that cube from the 2 key points that you identified, and it will do the smooth flow of transition from one to the other. They had to do all of that with math. And in order to turn it into a film, they had to calculate each point every couple of degrees. They rotated it very slightly, rotated it very slightly, rotated it very slightly, and then took pictures. And then they strung those pictures together into a film. They fed numbers into the machine to generate, these kind of images. The movie Tron was animated by 6-digit codes. That is really cool. So like we've come a long way, and even somebody who is not a math person can do this sort of animation now using tools that are out there and available for free. But they had to figure out how to do it, and they had to do it with math. And not only did they have to do it with math, they had to do it with math on punch cards, computer punch cards. It wasn't even a keyboard with direct input into the computer. They had to use a punch card machine, create punch cards, feed those into the computer in order to even get the computer to render the forms. Hi, Puddleglum, how are you? So this one says 3x4 grid, element faces, roll up complete. The next one says pattern for lesser needs one more triangle to connect. I'm assuming triangle. When I first read it, I read it as delta, but I'm assuming it's actually needs one more triangle to connect because these are triangles and rectangles. 3x4 element grid faces. Yeah, so there's a number of like these black and white style photographs. We can look at more of them if you want, but I also want to show some of the other stuffs. Plus, if we really want to see shapes, the geometric shapes created as part of this project, we could just watch the film again. Just glance and see if any of these really stand out as things like, oh my gosh, we really need to see this. There's a black and white photo here of a computer punch card. Ooh, it's a black and white photograph of a Virginia Tech computer punch card. So, and of the key punch keyboard. This was the level of technology that they used to create their computer animated film. The keyboard doesn't even have numbers on it. I don't know why it has a cent sign on it and no numbers. But the number pad was a separate peripheral in older machines. So I assume this is the case for like the, I've never used a key punch machine, but like on Commodore 64 or on the Osborne 1 that we have. The keyboard is just letters. It has function keys, but it's just letters. There are no number keys. There's not that top row with numbers on it. If you wanted numbers, there's a separate keyboard that is the 10 key. So like on a modern keyboard, I'm going to put the keyboard I'm actively using here and zoom out slightly. This is a modern keyboard. And so you've got the QWERTY keys. So this is an English American layout. I assume most English language regions use the same layout, but I don't know for certain. I know that not everybody uses QWERTY. QWERTY being keyboard layout QWERTY. That's how it got its name. So it's got the function keys at the top, it's got the letters, it's got a row of numbers. And then over here, we have a 10 key, which is what it's called, where you get the numbers. And it is generally used for quick entry and manipulation of numbers. So accounting, bookkeeping, spreadsheet work, anytime you've got a lot of numbers that you're working with, this is the keyboard that you end up working with. Cash registers have this layout of 10 keys for numbers. Early computer hardware did not have this. If they had a full keyboard, it was this. It didn't include that part over, but you could buy an accessory that was the 10 key. You could buy an extra keyboard that would plug in via cable and give you number keys. That was extra. Numbers did not come with your machine. So this is the key, the punch card puncher. It doesn't have numbers on it. And we just talked about how they programmed the entire thing with math. Now, math does not have to have Arabic numerals to be math. But it would be a lot more complicated, because it's a lot easier to tell a computer how to do math if you have numbers than having to tell it how to do math in words. I love this collection. I think it's really cool. I might be geeking out a little bit over this collection. I might want to spend many hours with it because I think it's fascinating. If you have numbers with place values too, not like Roman numerals. Yes, Roman numeral math is possible. You can do math with Roman numerals. It's just harder. Okay, we've got a couple of roles here. We've got, let's see, number 7, 8, and 14. 7, original computer drawing, closed, open, closed. 8, series of original computer drawings of void, closed to open. And 14, storyboard for a film. Which one do you think I'm going to look at first? I'm going to look at the storyboard. Also, I've already looked at the storyboard. I almost photographed the storyboard to use for the starting screen. Oh, we're going to look at all of them because they're neat, but also they are tall. They are rolled curly paper. So bear with me while I get some weights. Because I don't know how many years these things have been rolled up. Presumably since 1970. I don't want to tear the paper. That'll be a good start, right? Move the element out of the way. It is not the fifth element. The fifth element would be, I would need to take 4 more of those out of the box. And then we'd have the fifth element. Also, you know, it would help us to get the fifth element if Ruby Rod would show up. Or Corbin Dallas. Probably more important that Corbin Dallas show up for us to get the fifth element, you think? Sorry. There was no way I could get through an entire stream talking about something called The Element without referencing the movie The Fifth Element. If we're talking Captain Planet, the fifth element is heart. Detective Zen, spoilers. If you're talking the movie The Fifth Element is also heart. I'm going to zoom out just a tad here so we can see you can get a sense of the full glory of this thing. I mean, you can't because it's extending off the table towards me, but I wanted to give you a chance to sort of see the top of it up there. So this is the storyboard, and as you can see, it is on old computer printer paper. For anyone not familiar, computer printers, dot matrix printers, I think just dot matrix. I don't know that there was any other way that they printed using this paper, but it had these holes along the side. They've actually, they're only on one side here. Usually they're on both sides, and so they, I presume, have trimmed off a side. I don't know. And this isn't even perforated. So this is before they started perforating those so you could tear those off the sides. But it was this big roll of paper like this that had holes on the sides, and generally, at least in my experience, had alternating colors on it too. Here it's pre-lined, or at least it looks like it is. But those lines aren't alternating between a pale green and a white, which by the 80s, computer printer paper was alternating between pale green and white. But so it's this roll of paper that would feed through the machine and ends up being mostly a landscape format. But here, instead of tearing it at the edge of the paper, they've kept it together and they just used it as one big long piece of paper. And their storyboard, instead of being small little squares of image detailing each scene, it's tiny little squares of image detailing each scene. Because you can see first white, then dot, then cube approaches, rotating on a skewed axis. And then we get our first time code. I think this is time code here, 160, for cube approaches. And then at 200, hold, cube at rest. This is the storyboard for the first film that we watched. So then at 560, the cube rotates 360 degrees. I think this is the timing between. So I'm uncertain. I think this is a minute 60. So no, this is seconds, sorry. At 560 seconds, they have it rotating. And then I think this is 95 seconds. I'm uncertain. I would have to refer to the film to find out. I think what this is that rotation takes 360 seconds, because then No, that's not 360 seconds later. I don't know. Oh, sorry, this is 360 seconds after cube at rest. And then 95 seconds later, at 6:55, we get cube collapses. Tetrahedron rotates, and it's like every depiction of a storyboard, every storyboarding session I've ever like witnessed or been a part of or seen depicted, the drawings are bigger. But they don't need more than that. They know what's happening. Cube rotates 360. Cube collapses. Tetrahedron rotates. And they have a very simple sketch of it that is one row, or like one line high. It's the tiniest storyboard I have ever seen. It's amazing. I haven't quite figured out what the marker lines are. Like was it, so that the red lines come after each hold, I think, although they canceled this hold on terraform or transform tetrahedron. My favorite notation on the entire thing, end in confusion, question mark? I would love to know what that's all about, but I love that. End in confusion? But so it takes it through the various the forms that they transform the shape through. I don't know. What is end in confusion all about? After you rotate the cube, then collapse the tetrahedron, end in confusion. Just like a lot of streams on Twitch. No, well, my streams begin in confusion. So there's that. But so this was 2 architecture students. But as we know, one of them went on to be an editor at Disney working on films like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Ice Age and Robots. So the fact that he was working on animation and storyboards as an architecture student at Virginia Tech, I think it probably suited him well for his future career. I'm just gonna zoom this forward just a little bit further, maybe. So you get pattern 1, and then you get pattern 2, and pattern 3. It goes on through pattern 5. You know, I got a freaking overhead camera so I could show you all things in their entirety. Like, I literally got an overhead camera so that I could show you full items, and this item is too big for the overhead camera. I would have to physically move it further away. I can't zoom out any further. But you can see most of it. You're just missing the very, very top of it. And to zoom out this far, like you're seeing a little bit of like the behind the scenes. You can see my tape that tells me like where the center under the camera is. But it's just really, really cool because this is literally the storyboard for the first film that we watched. So this was the one that isn't in a case. So what's in the case? Because this is a gem. If you remember last week, I was saying how the watercolors of fungi is probably my favorite item in our entire collection, which we have it cataloged as a collection, but it's really a book that I would class as being part of the rare books collection, but we have it cataloged as a collection on its own, and it's a single item. So far, this might be my favorite collection. Just in like my sheer enjoyment of the items inside. I think I love this. I love this collection. This might be my favorite collection. Let's see, I'm gonna open number 7. Original computer drawing, closed, open, closed. Oh. Looks like it's on onion skin. Ah. Itchy nose. Let me get some weights on it, and then I will zoom out so you can see the whole thing. What do you all think of it? The collection, the stuff that we've been looking at, is it interesting? I don't know how much experience you all have with sort of 3D rendering, 3D modeling, or kind of this kind of stuff. It's very cool. This is fascinating. So original computer drawing, closed, open, closed. So moving in across from one corner to the other, it goes through the transform from closed from this, and that this drawing is modeling it opening up to the fully open square and then closing again down into the caltrop. That's my best guess as to what to call this shape. It's the element. But yeah, my brain wants to call this like a caltrop or like a what are they called? It reminds me of the things that were on beaches in World War II to stop tanks from coming up on the beaches. But I don't remember what they're called. It does look like a jack, like from the game Jacks, when it's all closed up like that. But it reminds me of the big metal pieces that they put on beaches to prevent tanks in World War II. but I don't remember what those are called. And then there's two other like copies in here. They look like photocopies, but they're also super faint, but that could just be because the original is this sort of orange-yellow ink. This is cool. Like, I want to have this digitized so that I can print a copy of it and frame it. But I want it to be like the brown ink. Like, I want this on my wall. Not as wallpaper, just as a framed photo, because it's cool. I might be silly, but I think it's neat. I think it's really neat. Okay, let's see. Oh wow, it's 410? Hang on. I have to twist this just a tiny bit tighter because it won't go back into the mailing tube that it was stored in. Unless I do. I mean, I'm having fun. That doesn't mean I can, doesn't mean I can go extra long, but I'm having fun. I don't feel like we've wasted too much time other than like had some technical issues at the beginning, but I need to just plan for those. The Void. 8 modules packed. Model of 8-pack Void. Void model with 1 open nested. The Void. Arch nemesis of the element. Sorry. Metal things on the Normandy beach were called Czech hedgehogs. I never would have guessed that, and I'm sure I have heard that before, and I'm extremely surprised I couldn't remember it because that's a very memorable name. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of. That, or like this model of the Void, it also reminds me of the Czech hedgehogs. If it were like pointy and made of metal instead of squared off and made of pasteboard. Ooh, thank you for dropping that into the chat. If you would not mind dropping it into the other chat as well, that'd be lovely. And if it yells at you, I will actually, I'm pretty sure I've given you, but there. Definitely not the very model of a modern Major General. I mean, you're not wrong. So I don't know. This feels very much like a film strip, but it's paper. But I think we should roll on through it and see. What is this? What does it say it is? Series of original computer drawings of Void closed to open. So the Void is this. Which is also manipulable because the Void can also open to become this monster. The enemies are always bigger than the heroes. The Void, arch nemesis of the element. Sorry. I have decided that it deserves superhero movie narration. Definitely, sorry, I'm reading your comment again. So apparently we're starting at the end because it is rolled that way. So if you give me a second, I will re-roll it so we start at the beginning. But not while you can see. That would spoil things. No spoilers. I did not think I needed the no spoilers tag for a stream about a movie filmed in 1969 using computer animation, but apparently the archival documents need to be told not to give out spoilers. This is literally a scroll. If you talk about like documentary information storage mediums, if you go back to Babylonian times, you've got the clay tablet. And when you get into the Egypt and the Niger Delta, you get papyrus. And papyrus and scrolls were very common in European areas. You've also got sort of forms of like wooden blocks that are sort of tied together and into like stacked things. They reminded me of like Jacob's ladders that were a craft project when I was a kid that show up in Asia. But you don't get to what we call a book until much later. And so for a lot of like documented history, if you hear about like the Library at Alexandria, it would have been scrolls that were like on like wooden dowels or something rolled up this way, and you have to scroll through them. And so then when you get into the codex, which is the actual name of the form that we refer to as a book, where you've got various pages attached together and you can flip directly to a page instead of having to like scroll through a scroll. The two covers with various leaves in between is that format is a codex. And it was a massive revolution in navigating information because it allows for rapid movement directly to the content that you want by means of another innovation known as an index. That seemed like something appropriate to talk about while I was re-scrolling a scroll to the start so that we weren't looking at it from the end. All right, so we've got the Void. So this is like a full-size sort of like storyboard with the full like computer render of the various different forms. I mean, they're going to do, in order to make the film, the little gradations between in order to move from one form to the next. But these are like the different storyboards of what their targets are, I think. This is really cool. I love this. This is, I mean, I like geometric transformations in animation form anyway. And just thinking about the creativity and technical know-how that was necessary in order to make these films. I just think it's awesome. Okay, we're getting close. We've got about 10 minutes left, 11 minutes left. There's a whole box we haven't touched, and it's the one that has most of the papers. I'm okay with this. But we should glance at some of them. As I do something that we would never want our users to do in the reading room and pull everything out of the box. Please, if you are in an archives and you're using materials, take out one folder at a time and keep things in the order they are in the folder. I have pulled these out. I'm keeping the folders in order, and I'm only going through the items in the folder in order. So let's see. Oh, this is the extra long history. This is the source of that very descriptive finding aid that we, or historical note in the finding aid that we read. Let's see what's next. Computer punch card printouts. So this is just like literally a printout of a web page from 2013 about the history of computer punch cards. It's in here because it was part of the papers provided with the collection. And I guess if somebody was looking in the collection and didn't know about punch cards, the information's in the collection. I think it's here mostly because I believe some of this material was lecture material that I want to say Grigg used, but I'm not certain. It might have been Carnochan. Number 9, series of original computer drawings of void closed to open. Also, we just had that scroll version, and now we have we have his autograph in here. I didn't know that. Well, this is essentially that the Chinese format that I was referring to earlier, only not with the wooden blocks holding it together. I don't remember the name of this format, but this is not a codex, but not a scroll. This is actually really cool for demonstrating different formats of written material. Even though it's not written material, it is graphical material. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind if I ever get asked to talk about the history of the book, which I probably won't because I don't lecture at library schools, but and we don't have a like book arts program here, but these would be good illustrations for that. Anyway, this is another one of the same sort of printed plans for what the film would be, it looks like. I don't know. I think these are essentially storyboards. It looks like... So this plastic film was picking up ink from something. It looks to me like it was picking up ink from this. But they've chosen to leave it out of the sleeve, and so I'll probably do that. Be prepared for the thing that would never happen. Indeed, indeed. And that's not to say that I won't ever do something on the history of the book. I did take, that was one of our required courses in library school. So Keith Critchlow, Order in Space, or it wasn't, it was a part of a class. I didn't do like an entire class on history of the book, but it was a couple weeks in the trimester, so a significant portion. So this is a whole book about like order in space. I'm guessing a reference material for like their geometrical transformations. That's neat. Let's see. B rotate available for public use. Computer punch card and 2 black and white photos of a punch card. Literally, so there is a computer punch card in this collection. I was somewhat disappointed that there was not like an entire FORTRAN program of computer punch cards, but I'm also not surprised because computing changed and punch cards weren't used anymore, and keeping the number of punch cards required to run this program for the number of years required between 1969 and 2016, not something I would have expected somebody to do. So we don't have the actual program punch cards, but it's clear they wanted people to be familiar with what a punch card actually was. And so there is an actual computer punch card in here. This is a demonstration punch card, and I know that because what is punched on it is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, JOB 815-412-028 -GRIGG. So this is a demonstration of what a punch card looks like, and you can see each of the characters corresponds to different holes. And then there's the photographs here. This is, I wish the context had been certain. I suspect that these are photographs of a punch card in use here at Tech, but I don't know. I cannot be certain of that. All I know is they are photographs of a punch card machine in use. I do not know who the individual in the photos is. None of that information is present, but that is the machine that they programmed their animations on. That type of machine. It's kind of cool. It's lovely to have that illustration. I actually think like the stuff that we were looking at before, for me personally, is more interesting than this is sort of more contextual, where if I was gonna like talk about the project or lecture about it or like do a blog post, this would be interesting context. But these, while they're not on punch cards, we do actually have the computer programs. They're just on printouts. But we have the FORTRAN computer programs used to make the films. I have gone the wrong direction. And of course, the pages will come apart eventually. They're perforated, they're meant to come apart, and they're dry and somewhat brittle. So they will tear at the seams, especially because they're folded. But yeah, this is literally how they programmed the animation that we watched. I do not know FORTRAN, so I don't really know what all of these are doing. With a little bit of work, I could figure it out because I am basically familiar with computer programming principles, but I don't know the specific syntax of FORTRAN. It is not a language I have ever used. But I think these are cool to have. And we've got, so that was B rotate subroutine. We've got programs. Revolver, spring 1969. And then we've got page jump subroutine, terroir subroutine, datpack subroutine, module subroutine, B rotate subroutine, and then main, framer, page jump, terroir, datpack module, and with notes. Should we look at with notes? Real quick. And then I think we should end by watching one of the films again. I want the notes. Give me the notes. It said with notes. I haven't found the notes yet. No, I think this is a really neat collection. Oh, it certainly does have notes. Mathematical notes, to be precise. X equals the square root of 2/3 equals 1/3 the square root of 6. In a circle. I don't know. I'm just reading what's there. Anyway, these are neat. All of this is neat. I like this so much. I don't want to stop. I want to look at everything. But I knew that 2 hours was not enough time to look at this entire collection. There's some correspondence. There's, I usually love reading people's letters, but we've run out of time. Yeah, it looks like Grigg's taught a computer class, which is what some of these more modern things are related to that computer class, where I'm fairly certain he lectured on the work that he and Carnochan had done. History of computers in the school, some articles. Number 20. Yeah. I think we should end with another view of one of the films while I look and see where we might want to go for a raid. Before I start that, I should actually just say, actually do a closing. We should end with a song and dance number. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Sorry, just imagine a frog. Thank you all very much for joining me today. I have had a blast with this collection. I have enjoyed it quite a lot. I hope it was interesting for you. I'm just gonna, do another quick shout out for the upcoming Women's Stories in the Archives open house in our reading room on the 16th of March. If you happen to be in the Blacksburg, Virginia area, and you want to stop by and take a look at some archival materials about the history of women, stop on by. Next week on Archival Adventures, we are going to be looking at some materials about the Girl Scouts of America, because on the 12th, which is Sunday, I think. Yes, this coming Sunday on the 12th, it is their 111st birthday, otherwise known as their 111th birthday of the Girl Scouts of America. And when I saw that, it seemed as good a reason as any to look at the Girl Scouts related materials in our collections. So that's what we're doing next Wednesday. So I'm going to start this film while I look to see who is live for us to throw a raid to on this lovely Wednesday. We'll just pop on Final State Machine again. Will there be cookies? I imagine that there might be some cookies in the internet sense. And that you can decide whether you want targeted advertising cookies or just functional cookies. You probably already made that choice on Twitch. Okay, while you all are perusing that, trying to decide the easiest way for me to see who's live right now. And I think it's my phone. I love this film. This is amazing. This has just been great. See, I want to go to some... Today is actually a day where I don't want to go to the aquarium. I want to go somewhere that a game is being played that uses stuff animated using computers. So, and I think I've decided. I think I've decided where I think we're going to raid. Let's raid Brogan's phone. No, we're going to be raiding Stephen Joyce today, which we have done in the past. A lovely streamer from Scotland. But Stephen today is playing video game demos, which, since we're looking at early computer animation, video game demos seem very appropriate. So these are modern video game demos for upcoming games. But that seems to me to be appropriate given the content of today's stream. So we will head over there shortly. There's about a minute left on this animation here. I'm going to go ahead and set up the raids. For both channels here. That is not what I was trying to do. Okay, so as soon as it is ready, I will click the button. I just don't want to cut off our lovely animation film in progress. It's just really cool. My standard for what is cool might be different than other people's, but I think this is really cool. Okay. Yeah, we will be leaving very shortly. I'm going to click on start. So the raid countdown is going to be going. Hopefully you will join me in the near future for another Archival adventure. As I said, next week we will indeed be looking at materials related to the Girl Scouts of America. So it would be lovely to have you join me then live, either on twitch.tv/VTUL Studios or twitch.tv/Rogan27, Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope I see you again soon. Until I do, keep exploring history.